Good evening, my name's Sarah O'Keefe and this is Shazma White, and together we deliver business and economics education at Bootham School. Tonight's presentation is on the economics A-level, and I'm just going to run through a few of the interesting topics that we're currently talking to students about. Why study A-level economics? Well, it's the study of human behaviour, it's the study of scarce resources. It looks at why markets work and why they fail. It looks at things like monopoly and oligopoly markets. It looks at international economics and globalization. It is a full economics A-level, and I've chosen a few of the things that we are talking about, and they've got QR codes on them, so you can use your smartphone and go on and look at some of the debates behind these issues if you want to later on. The first one is the divide between rich and poor, between, in some senses we call it the geographical north versus the geographical south. What's causing this persistent inequality is a big part of our globalization work in College 2. We'll also look at nationalisation and privatisation, and this one is about whether we should renationalise the railways. And if you click onto this, you will find Michael Portillo saying, no, we shouldn't be renationalising the railways industry. This one is about monopoly power, and in fact in College 2 we are doing the theory of the firm at the moment, which looks at different market structures and how they operate. So we spend a lot of time talking about companies like Netflix and Prime Video. This one is showing that we have a new part of A-level economics called behavioural economics, which is about nudging social behaviour. How can we change people's behaviour just a little bit so that that we affect good outcomes? And this one shares all sorts of interesting information on that. Here, of course, we know that we have a plastics pollution crisis, and we talk about who should be paying for that and whether there are micro or macro economic solutions to it through taxation, through perhaps the subsidising of good behaviours. So definitely part of our remit. Labour migration, it's been a subject in the press for a long, long time. We have to look at it. We do a whole component on labour economics, and certainly this shows some very interesting data if you QR this one. The winners and losers from the trade war. Now with the American election results, this hopefully is going to be consigned to the trash can, but we'll have to wait and see how Joe Biden's going to take forward the problematical relationship the US currently have with China. One of the things that is apparent is the idea that with the rise of robotics and the demise of many of the jobs that we have, because we're changing the way we shop, we're changing the way we eat, we're changing the way we cook, that there's more and more credence given to the idea of a basic universal income. And so that's one of the things that we're also debating. And this one, very dear to my heart, and we're going to go into this just to have a very short listen, it's not very long, a little over a minute, about the gender pay gap, which seems remarkable to me, at my time of life, that we are still talking about the fact that there is a gender pay gap, when the initial legislation was put out in the 1970s, but it's still there.
Women who work full-time still earn 15% less than men. But that's not because they're paid less for the same jobs. It's because they're in different jobs. Women are in less senior jobs. In Britain, France and Germany, 80 to 90% of executive jobs are held by men. Women also tend to choose different occupations. In America, over 80% of teachers, nurses, secretaries and health workers are female, and these jobs tend to be lower paid. primary school teachers in the West earn nearly 20% less than the average graduate job. Nurses earn less than police officers, cleaners less than caretakers. Women are as ambitious as men. They earn the majority of university degrees. In America, they now ask for promotions as often as men. But it's the price women pay for motherhood that holds them back. In Britain, 70% of mothers reduce their working hours or switch to a less demanding job, compared with 11% of fathers. In Australia, it's 56% of mothers and 19% of fathers. While in France, 55% of mothers scale back, compared with 13% of fathers. When an American woman goes back to work, her salary is on average lower than it would have been if she hadn't had a child. The race for gender equality is far from over. As more children choose non-traditional careers and men do more childcare, fewer working women will be held back.
Globalisation, we do have a whole component on that, and we look at the winners and the losers, and we look at the thinkers, the Nobel Prize-winning economists like Joseph Stiglitz and Paul Collier, about the things they say about globalisation. So, is economics the right subject for you? Well, yes, if you enjoy debating issues like the ones we've just looked at. If you like using data, you must like using data and not be frightened by, a bunch of numbers or a lot of graphs or a lot of statistical information, because we use those to analyse economic problems, and you would struggle if you couldn't do that. If you like discussing alternative actions, if we want to stop behaviour, what could we do? Well, you could subsidise good behaviour and you could tax bad behaviour. So discussing the alternatives, I think, is pretty interesting. And you have to keep up to date with national trends and international trends for both things like GDP, unemployment, national deficits, trade balances and things like that. You also have to be pretty comfortable about using what we call models, which are graphs that show how an economy or how a market is working. And we teach you how to do it, but some people are not good with using models and suspending everything else but the model. So it's a conceptual subject, economics, and you need to be able to think like that to do it well. Shazma.
And in order to enjoy what you're doing, we encourage you to take the time to read and find things that interest you, so you can contextualize and understand some of the things we talk about. So your debates have context. Some of the things we have been looking at in terms of college too, we've spent a lot of time discussing furloughing and the importance of furloughing. We've looked at the gig economy. We have looked at inequality and the rise of food banks in the UK. So read to enjoy. Don't just rely on the textbook. There's a lot out there. Channel 4 News, The Guardian, The Times. The school also subscribe to The Economist. And we have The Week here, which you will regularly get articles for.
So, come and talk to us if you would like any other information about studying economics here at Bootham. Thank you.